You are tuned in to On Air with Chris Shanafelt.
Welcome back on air as we continue our Player Spotlight series with the 2020 NFL Draft Class. I'm your host, Chris Shanafelt, and I'm now joined by a player who was at one time looked as a sleeper at the tight end position. He's one of the top players in the FCS out of Southern Illinois University, representing the Salukis. He's tight end Nigel Kilby. And Nigel, I really appreciate you taking the time this evening. How's everything going?
Of course, everything's going well.
So I say at one point a sleeper in this year's draft class, Nigel, because last Tuesday you took part in the Northwestern Pro Day, and you had one of, if not the best Pro Day / combine workout by a tight end prospect in this year's draft class. Just to familiarize our listeners, you measured in at 6'7.5", 254 pounds. You ran a 4.66 40-yard dash to go with a 34.5-inch vertical, 10.6 broad jump, 18 reps on the bench press. Not to mention, you have a wingspan of 83 inches and hand size of 10.5, which would be first compared to the tight ends at the NFL Combine. Overall, how would you grade your Pro Day performance? Were you happy with how everything turned out? Overall, how would you say things went at that Northwestern Pro Day?
Yeah, I think I performed as I thought I would. I wasn't as happy with my bench press and maybe even my vertical jump, but I was real surprised with my broad jump and my 4.6 was about what I thought it was going to be. But I think I could have I was aiming for 20 reps on bench, but, it is what it is.
What was the scene like after the Pro Day, Nigel? Again, most, if not all, 32 NFL teams were represented there. It's certainly the biggest Pro Day held in the state of Illinois. To have that opportunity, what did it mean to you? And obviously to capitalize on it as you did, exactly what was the scene looking like after your Pro Day workout?
Right, yeah. So big thank you to Northwestern for that opportunity. I know they set up stuff with SIU really well and get our guys in there. So the Pro Day went really well, and it was great to get some exposure and be able to talk to coaches and have meetings with coaches after my Pro Day, and it was a real good performance. And I really enjoyed the opportunity. It was a lot of fun.
If you don't mind sharing, who were some of the teams that you met with, and what was some of the feedback that you received from those teams heading into this workout, Nigel? I've seen, and obviously they don't mean anything at the end of the day, but I've seen some grades on you, 6th, 7th round draft pick, maybe possible undrafted free agent. Now I've seen you go as early as 3rd, 4th round. There's no doubt that this Pro Day has helped your draft grade. But, overall, what's the feedback you've been getting from teams? What's some of the pointers that you're getting from NFL teams around the league?
Right. So I met with Detroit a lot throughout the Pro Day. I was kind of connecting with that scout a lot. I talked to Seahawks, also scout. And then after my Pro Day, I took a test, kind of like a Wonderlic test for the Falcons, and I got to meet privately with the Broncos and the Panthers. They basically just getting information on me and stuff like that, and so they can present me to teams and really just building that connection with those guys. It was a real good time. So.
We're out of Chicago, Nigel. You've obviously played your last couple of years here in Illinois, at Southern Illinois, in Carbondale, Illinois. Any chance the Bears have made any type of communication with you, with your agent? Obviously, that's a position of need for the Chicago Bears. They recently added Jimmy Graham, but he's a little up there in age. They could certainly use a prospect to develop and be the guy at some point. Such as yourself, I think that you would fit very nicely in this Matt Nagy offense. Any word from the Chicago Bears at all?
Yeah, so my agent has been in communication with them for a while, and they seem interested. I even talked to them at the Pro Day also, and they always come to Southern Illinois to visit, and so I've had a relationship with them since camp of last season. And I agree with you. I love that offense, and I love Jimmy Graham is one of the reasons why I started playing football, because he's a basketball guy that converted to football also. So, yeah, I agree with you there.
And I know a couple of days after that Northwestern Pro Day, Southern Illinois held their Pro Day at Carbondale, Illinois as well. Did you improve any of your numbers from the Northwestern Pro Day by chance?
So I decided that I wasn't going to test again at my Pro Day. I felt like I didn't need to. And I was 2 days off of my last Pro Day, so my body was kind of feeling it. So I only did skill work in front of the scouts, and I got to watch all my teammates compete also, which was great.
And being a smaller school prospect, Nigel, getting the opportunity to just have a pro day, nonetheless, it was a Northwestern Pro Day, one of the bigger pro days in the country. Just how fortunate are you, especially looking at, where not only the football world is, not only the NFL and collegiate world is, today, but, in real life circumstances has hit as the coronavirus outbreak has really done a lot of damage, not only to the real life world, but the sports world as well. Just how fortunate are you, and how happy are you that you're able to get that opportunity to showcase your athleticism in front of NFL teams?
Yeah, man, real thankful. I mean, that's God's timing right there. There's nothing like that was completely out of my control, and I'm real thankful that I got the opportunity, because without it, who knows how this would have gone from here on out. But yeah, real thankful. I'm thankful that I was blessed with the opportunity for sure.
Yeah, I think in terms of just pro day standouts, you're probably number one on that list. You had the Godfather Gil Brandt, Pro Football Hall of Famer, tweet about you. I sent you a message. Very rarely have I heard FCS football in general talked about on ESPN Chicago radio. You were the talk for at least a good 45 minutes to an hour on the airwaves here in Chicago. So very, very good stuff at the Northwestern Pro Day. Thankfully, you're able to get that workout in, and obviously your draft stock is up from here. Again, we're chatting with 2020 NFL draft prospect, tight end out of Southern Illinois University, Nigel Kilby. And I seen on Twitter, Nigel, Cowboys Pro Bowl linebacker Jalen Smith. I know he's from the Fort Wayne, Indiana area as well. Obviously a standout at Notre Dame. He recently posted a picture with you. The two of you guys were working out together. He's even tweeted out on Twitter, during the NFL Combine, quote, "Watching the NFL Combine tonight, all I can say is wait till scouts see my little bro, tight end Nigel Kilby." What's your relationship like with Jalen Smith? What were those training sessions like? What are those training sessions like if you're still currently training with him? And, exactly where were you training at for your pro day? Did he help you at all in this pro day process as well?
So Jalen Smith is one of the older guys that I've always been around since I was probably like middle school, high school, early high school. That I've always watched play, and we've always been working out in the same area with AWP Sports in Fort Wayne, which is a facility where I've trained my whole football career, and where Jalen's worked out at, and a lot of great players that came out of Fort Wayne have worked out there. So I worked out at ASPI with Yo Murphy in Tampa, Florida, which is a good spot for combine training and such, and a lot of NFL vets also work out with him. So he came down to Florida, and we worked out, and and he just saw what everybody else saw at my pro day. He knew what was coming just before everybody else did.
And speaking of Jalen Smith, obviously has done some great things already in the NFL in his young career with the Dallas Cowboys, a former standout at Notre Dame, would have probably been a top 3, top 5 draft pick if not for a horrendous knee injury in his very last game at Notre Dame. Anyways, he turns into a second-round draft pick, has had a lot of success there with Dallas. I know you were also teammates with Max Crosby back in your Eastern Michigan days. He was a former guest of this show last year. He, of course, led the Raiders in tackles for loss and sacks. Has either of those guys, Jalen Smith, Max Crosby, I don't know if you keep in touch with Max or not, but have either of those guys or anybody else that has gone through what you're going through currently and has made it to the next level, has anybody given you any advice as now you go through this draft process yourself, Nigel?
Yeah. I mean, I am in contact with Max all the time. That was one of my best friends when I'm at Eastern Michigan. It really is one of my closest friends now. Somebody that I know that I don't have to talk to all the time, but, every time you touch base, you always left off on the same page. But Jalen Smith gave me some great advice, and for where my situation is right now, and he just says be patient, and don't become complacent. We both have belief in me, and and even Max Crosby when we were our freshman year at Eastern Michigan, like we both told each other we're going to the NFL and it's going to happen, and we just got to make it happen. So this is something I've been working for all these years and dreamed about my life. So just being confident, being patient, and this road is gonna go how it's gonna go, and I can control my fate. So.
Again, we're chatting with 2020 NFL Draft prospect, tight end out of Southern Illinois University, Nigel Kilby. And Nigel, it's been quite the journey for you just to get to where you're at today. Going back to your high school days, coming out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, what was the recruiting process like for you? You actually initially attended Eastern Michigan University of the MAC conference. What was it about EMU that made you feel like that was the best fit for you at the time?
Right. So I was coming out of high school. I wasn't heavily recruited because I was a converted basketball guy. I was pretty light. I think I was good 6'6" and 195 pounds. So I wasn't heavily recruited. Eastern Michigan saw the talent in me and gave me the chance. And I love that campus. Coach Creighton is an amazing coach. And so I saw the opportunity. I thought I would take it.
You went on to redshirt in 2015, and in 2016, your first and only season you suited up and played for Eastern Michigan. You hauled in 34 receptions, over 430 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Certainly a big impact, especially from a freshman. It was after that season, though, that you decided that you would transfer, go down to the JUCO level where you would land at Garden City Community College. What led to your decision to leave Eastern Michigan, go down to the JUCO level, and ultimately, what was your experience like at the JUCO level?
Right. With everything on my plate I was dealing with at that time, I was in my best interest to transfer and go to Garden City, and I decided to play junior college football. Junior college was an experience, and it helped me become a better man and really set me straight for the rest of my career.
How accurate is the Netflix series Last Chance U? How accurate is that series? I know they've dealt with a couple of different teams. Is that the real life true story of a college football athlete at the junior college level? Was that at all comparable to your junior college days?
Yeah, it was definitely comparable. You can, sometimes you might think things are hyped for the camera, but that's about as real as it gets. It could have only gotten deeper, It's like that all the time. It's high intensity. It's guys fighting for their lives, basically, But yeah, I feel like in the show they depicted it a little bit. The editing added some drama for sure to how to make it good for TV. But yeah, I feel like it was accurately depicted.
And coming out of Garden City Community College, Nigel, you were a pretty highly heralded JUCO player after you hauled in 43 catches, over 450 yards, and 10 touchdowns there at Garden City. I know you had committed at one point to Central Florida. You decommitted due to Scott Frost leaving for Nebraska, or at least that's what I've read. And then you committed to Louisville. But what I understand is something fell through. How did you ultimately land at Southern Illinois University, Nigel?
Yeah, so like I said, my scholarship, some stuff with scholarship fell through. I couldn't get into Louisville, so that's when I was recruited by Southern Illinois, by Coach Hill, and he got me onto campus, and I ended up there.
Again, we're chatting with Nigel Kilby, standout tight end from Southern Illinois University by way of Eastern Michigan University, 2020 NFL Draft prospect here on air with Chris Shanafelt. And Nigel, throughout your 2 years at Southern Illinois, you reeled in 29 receptions for over 400 yards and 8 touchdowns. I know you guys didn't have a ton of success throwing the ball this past year. Running the ball, you guys were very dominant, though. One of the top teams in the country, as you guys had nearly three running backs go for over 1,000 yards. In today's game, a lot of focus will be put on your stats, though, and and what you've been able to do in the passing game as a receiving option. But what about the blocking side to the tight end position, Nigel? You got to be very versatile. You got to learn to love both the receiving end and the blocking end. How big of a part would you say you were to the Salukis' success in 2019 in the run game? And do you take pride in the blocking aspect at all that comes with the tight end position?
Right. So, like you said, I mean, we all know, if you can see my Eastern Michigan stats and stuff like that, or even Garden City, I'm a pretty receiving heavy tight end. When I went to my senior season, I knew I was going to. I know I had a great running back, DJ Davis, and Javon Williams, who's an animal. I knew I was going to have to embrace the blocking role, and so I worked at it, and I got some good work my junior year too, to work on blocking. And I you kind of have to just dive in and embrace the whole thing, and it's something that I've wanted to get I wanted to improve at a lot. I feel like I did, and I had the opportunity there. Thanks to my coach Poor, my position coach helped me a lot with blocking. So I feel like I really improved my last 2 years in college in blocking.
And, of course, Nigel, one of your teammates, safety Jeremy Chin, has been getting a lot of buzz lately. He participated in the Reese's Senior Bowl. He participated in the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis, Indiana. What were those battles like every day going up against a player of that caliber, every day in practice there in Carbondale? I mean, I would have loved to have seen those battles in practice.
Yeah, going against Jeremy Chin was always fun. He's a great dude, and he's an amazing athlete, and so going up against him in practice was something that I was very blessed to do. It was a great opportunity to go and iron sharpens iron, and I think we both got better going at each other at practice for sure.
We're chatting with 2020 NFL Draft prospect Nigel Kilby, standout at the Northwestern Pro Day, and 2020 NFL Draft prospect out of Southern Illinois University. Nigel, seeing where the tight end position is going nowadays, or where it's at nowadays, I mean, we just had a Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers, where the most important position in the passing game, minus the quarterback position, was the two teams' tight ends, Travis Kelce and George Kittle, two of the best in the game. Seeing the advancement and the importance of the tight end position, Nigel, grow over the last handful of years, does it excite you even more to be playing the position, knowing how reliant offenses have become towards the tight end position nowadays?
Yeah, watching the tight end position grow over the years is really a beautiful thing. You get to see these big guys who used to be looked at as just head first blockers and stuff like that, turn into really like one of the biggest athletes on the field, and it's just great to see. I feel like I fit that mold really well, and I compare myself to the Travis Kelce's, the Jimmy Grahams, the George Kittles, and stuff like that, and I feel like I fit that mold really well, and it's exciting because I know that I can have success in the NFL.
And for those not familiar with your game, Nigel, as we've talked about already, you've had a great impact in the past in the receiving end of things. You've also proven your self-worth at the tight end position in the blocking aspect of things. How would you describe your style of play? What would you say are some of your strengths that you bring to the tight end position?
Yeah, I mean, my size, obviously being 6'8", and I gained some weight. I'm pushing about 260 now, looking to play it around that weight, 260 to 265, and just having the ability to run a 4.6 or put that on the field at my height and weight. You create mismatches, pretty easily. So I would say I'm a pretty receiving heavy tight end. I can still put my nose in there and stuff and block some guys, but I would say it's like that.
A few more questions for Nigel Kilby, the standout tight end out of Southern Illinois University by way of Eastern Michigan University, here on air with Chris Shanafelt, 2020 NFL Draft prospect. And Nigel, you've played in a few different conferences throughout your collegiate career, so I'm really eager to hear your answer. You've obviously played with a lot of talented players such as Max Crosby, but leaving teammates out of it, who would you say is the best player that you've played against throughout your years? It could be somebody dating back to your first year at Eastern Michigan, the JUCO level at Garden City, or even the past couple of years at Southern Illinois, playing in one of the most competitive conferences in the country in the Missouri Valley. When I ask you that, is there a specific player or two that comes to mind?
That's a hard question. I've played a lot of teams and, faced a lot of guys. I've seen a lot of talent. I don't know if I can really point out one guy. I've played against a lot of great players. I think one of the best matches that I've had that was recent, Jarvis Miller, who plays at UMass. He's a great player, a high-energy dude. He was fun to compete against, but not sure if I can just point out one guy and say that's definitely the best guy.
All right, how about this? And you've made a lot of plays throughout your collegiate career, Nigel, but what about the most memorable play that you've made throughout your collegiate career? This goes, the same criteria. You could date back to your first year at Eastern Michigan, JUCO, Southern Illinois, 5, 10, 15 years down the road. What will be the first play that comes to mind when you think about your collegiate career?
Oof, that's also a good one. I want to say it's my first collegiate touchdown at Eastern Michigan. But also, I feel like the most memorable and the most important to me was the Ole Miss touchdown at Southern Illinois, just because I had been in JUCO for so long and wasn't sure about where my career was going, and just being able to go back on the field and, score a touchdown against all the, 50,000 people in the stands and being with my team, it just, that was a very memorable moment for me.
No doubt, and the fact that you guys were in that game all the way to the very end. I remember watching that game. I was actually covering a football game at the University of Illinois in Champaign. They were taking on Western Illinois, another fellow Missouri Conference football team, and I was watching it in the press room. It was an outstanding football game all the way to the end, and like you said, you were able to get back to it and score a touchdown in that game against an SEC opponent. Nigel, final question for you, then we'll let you go. Let's say we have all 32 NFL general managers. They're tuned into this very interview. Why should they want the tight end out of Southern Illinois University, Nigel Kilby, a part of their team?
Yep. If you would have asked this question a month ago, I would have said, you got to see me, you got to stop sleeping. But, they've seen me now, and it's just mostly believing the hype and really taking a chance on me, because a lot of coaches have taken a chance. They've been iffy on me, and none of them have been disappointed. So I would say that they're going to get the same result.
What's funny, Nigel, is that I actually did ask you this question a month ago, but technical difficulties have allowed us to chat once again. I'm not complaining. I'm just very appreciative that you would take the time out again to chat. Congratulations on all of the success throughout your collegiate career, and I can't tell you how excited and really how happy I was to see the numbers that you put up at that Northwestern Pro Day and to see the buzz generating around your name. You certainly are next level talent, and to see you really capitalize on that big opportunity. That was very great to see. It's only going to do you well as we approach closer and closer to the April 23rd NFL draft. Nigel, congratulations on all the success, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time to do this again, man.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate you. Thank you.